Welcome to the Private Practice Startup Podcast, where we help ambitious private practitioners across the globe to brand themselves and grow their dream practices. We chat with successful private practitioners, business coaches, and marketing experts, bringing you tons of practice building ninja tips. Visit privatepracticestartup.com for awesome resources, attorney-approved private practice paperwork, and our signature marketing e-course. Here are your co-hosts, Dr. Kate Campbell and Katie Lemieux.
Hey there, Startup Nation. Welcome back to another episode of the Private Practice Startup Podcast. I can hardly believe we are in the 200s. That's crazy. And I'm actually really excited about our topic today, and I'll tell you why in just a little bit. But before we get started, we hope that you guys joined us last week as we spoke with intern Chrissy Barlahan about her journey into private practice. And not only private practice, but she had some major things up against her, including a difficult pregnancy, a move, 2 job losses, and having to start a private practice and having it be successful. So she did all of that in just 5 months. It's a really extraordinary story. Actually, as I'm sharing this with you guys, I have chills. So you definitely want to listen to that podcast as she shares her story and what worked for her. Today, we invite Cindy Norton on our podcast. And I actually met Cindy online when she was an intern, and I was so inspired by her. She wasn't even private practice yet, as she was actually like having an online presence. And it was something that I would talk to my interns about. And I know that they didn't really get it, but I was just really inspired by that. But she's now a licensed marriage and family therapist. And she is joining us from North Carolina. And she's going to be talking to you guys today about how to book new ideal clients without answering the phone. And I'm excited to hear about this because I do have a love-hate relationship with the phone. It's necessary. I don't always love being on the phone. And especially as therapists, when we're spending so much of our time in session, face-to-face, sometimes and being on the phone is just a lot. So I can't wait to hear what she's going to share with that. But if you are brand new to us, we wanted to say welcome. We are so happy that you guys are here. And we have a gift for you. Whether you like it or not, as a therapist, we all need paperwork, right? And we would like to gift you our HIPAA form. It's an attorney-approved HIPAA form for free. Head over to privatepracticestartup.com, head over to the resources tab, and there you'll see it. It's completely customizable, and we have a plethora of all the other forms that you guys need as well. But that way, you'll get to just try it out a little bit. Just a little bit about Cindy. Cindy's a licensed marriage and family therapist in Asheville, North Carolina. She owns 2 businesses. AVL Couples Therapy is her private practice where she specializes in working with happy couples. I love that. Mountain Practice Journeys is where she helps therapists to love the business side of private practice. Her services include private practice coaching, web design, and online courses. In her spare time, she enjoys camping and hiking, studying the Enneagram, astrology, tarot card reading, and watching shows about the paranormal. Before we dive in, let's just take a quick break for our sponsor.
As a therapist, how you communicate with clients online is just as important as how you communicate in your sessions. However, if you use email and web forms to communicate, you need to be sure that they're secure and HIPAA compliant. Hushmail takes the guesswork out of secure communications by providing encrypted email, web forms, and e-signatures all in one package. Hush Secure Forms make building forms very easy. You can start a form from a template and customize it to reflect your practice, or use the drag and drop form builder to build beautiful forms from scratch, with fields for legally binding e-signatures. Then add the form to your website and send it through secure email. Move your intake, informed consent, health history, and other practice forms to HIPAA-compliant Hush Secure Forms. Your clients will spend less time in the waiting room and more time getting the care that they need. Go to hushmail.com/PPS and enjoy the first month of your plan for free. Again, that's hushmail.com/PPS.
When it comes to keeping your practice organized, you want software that's not only simple, but the best. We recommend Therapy Notes. Their platform lets you manage notes, claims, scheduling, and they have a new awesome telehealth platform for your online counseling sessions. They offer amazing unlimited phone support and email support, so when you have a question, they are there to help. To get started with the practice management software trusted by over 60,000 professionals, go to therapynotes.com and start a free trial today. Enter promo code PPS, as in Private Practice Startup, and they will give you 2 months to try for free. Go to therapynotes.com.
Kate, I know you're going to say something about the Enneagram. Go ahead.
I have to ask, what are you?
Yes, I'm a 9.
You're a 9. Oh,
Yes.
how cool. I think I'm a 2 with a 3 wing. I'm pretty sure, but I'm constantly learning more about it. And Katie, have you started reading about it yet?
No, because during this whole pandemic, I've ordered like 4 different books. So I'm like in other books right now.
You'll get there eventually.
For those who have no idea what the two of you are talking about, explain a little bit.
Well, the Enneagram, it goes pretty deep. Some people think that it's just another personality test, but it is, I don't know, it's almost like a path for spiritual growth. I've felt like I've grown so much as a result of knowing my type. And it's always not as simple as taking an online test, because I think the online tests are about 60 or 70% accurate. So I've taken 4 different online tests, and I think one of them got my number correct. But you can take the test and look at your top 3 results and get a good idea about maybe what numbers you want to look into and explore a little bit more.
So what does a 9 mean? I'm curious.
A 9 is the peacemaker. So they want everyone to get along. They want to keep the peace. They struggle with conflict. So they're very conflict avoidant, but they're really great mediators. So I think that makes me a great couples therapist.
Love it. Very cool. Well, Kate, I know that we're going to have a podcast on the Enneagram.
We're
just going to have to.
Are going to. Yeah, I remember reading about a 9 and relating to a lot of those different aspects. But then when I read 2 and 3, the 2 with the 3 wing, I was like, oh, this is definitely me. Yeah. So we'll talk more about that on other podcasts. I was hearing you say your title for the podcast, and it made me laugh because I joke often saying I'm allergic to talking on the phone, because being the owner of a group practice, having to answer for all of the calls coming in for so many years before, that was way back in the day before I hired an assistant. I'm more of an introverted person, so that was so draining for me. And I swear I'm still allergic to phone calls. I have my phone and it's on vibrate. It doesn't ring. And so I love this topic. And I know there's a lot of people listening who are wanting to know exactly what your system is and how it works so that they don't have to answer the phone anymore.
And Kate hates the phone so much, she has encouraged me to turn mine on silent when we're together. Or vibrate. She has like PTSD from the phone ringing or something.
I hate the sound of the phone ringing. Yes. It just gives me, it's like a visceral reaction. Like, stop ringing. Why is that thing on? Why is it making noise?
Yes, it does. And I had the same problem. So that's why I created this system. So, you can keep your phones on silent 24/7, but still be able to run your business. But really what I wanted to talk about today is just the 3 problems that can be solved by implementing technology as a way to manage your phone calls and inquiries from potential clients when you're running a therapy business. So the first point I wanted to check in about is therapists not returning phone calls from potential clients. It's a big problem. Last year, I was talking to a colleague, and she had gotten a new client. They had called, and she felt bad because she hadn't returned the call for like 2 or 3 days because she had just been busy. But she talked to the potential client, and she said, I've called 10 therapists, and you're the only one that's called me back. So that is, we've got to do better as a profession in doing that. I get why that happens, because when you're in session all day, and the last thing you want to do is return 5 or 10 phone calls, voicemails at the end of the day when you have all these other things to do. So I get why it happens, but it's also important that we make sure that the clients are cared for and that they don't get turned off from our profession by, it may have taken them weeks or months to even get up the courage to call and try and make that appointment, and to find that they're met with silence and no one's responding to them in their deepest time of need. So that's one problem that I see that being able to have a system can help out with.
Kate and I are probably about to say the same thing. I'm so glad you bring that up. That is like one of our pet peeves. And I find myself apologizing for other therapists in the field for not returning it. To me, it's just not even acceptable, because you're right. Like we work with a population that they're calling us in a dire time. They're not calling us to cater, their barbecue. They can find someone else. Like they've probably taken some time and done some research on us and are really trying to connect with us and, have some form of communication, whether it's, an email back, hey, I'm in session, I'll give you a call tomorrow. I'm done at 9 tonight, so I'll give you a call tomorrow. Like that is so important, because just the mere fact of the communication and then following through with what you say you're going to do helps build trust with a client. And And we know how crucially important that is. So if you're making calls and returning calls, like, you're ahead of the game. You know, I hate to say that, but, you know, there's so many therapists that aren't returning the calls, and it's just really disheartening to me.
Yeah, it really makes me sad to hear that and to think about that. And I'm so glad that you bring that up. And even though I joke about being allergic to the phone call, I always made sure that I got back to people. And if it wasn't me, it was the assistant. Somebody is getting back to them as soon as possible, right away. And it is so, so, so important that we're there for people, because it takes so much courage for them to finally reach out, and then to not get a call back and to call 10 therapists before hearing back from somebody. That is absolutely unacceptable. And you're right. We definitely have to do better, whether it's a system with an assistant or a client care coordinator, or it's your online system, so that you don't have to answer the calls, but you're still helping people get the help that they need. It is super, super important.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that brings on the second point is the phone aversion or inconvenience. So definitely I had that problem when I first started my practice. I needed clients. I hated answering my phone. I hated returning voicemails. I did it anyway because it's the right thing to do. That's what you have to do to run a business. And so I totally get that when the phone rings. And sometimes it rings at the most inconvenient times. It may be while you're in session, while you're in line at the grocery store. You may have just settled down at home to watch a movie, or you may just not feel like talking on the phone after being in session with clients all day. So it never seemed to ring at the perfect time when you could really have the privacy to talk to the potential clients. So I think that is definitely, I don't know if it's a introvert thing or an HSP thing or an Enneagram 9 thing, but I definitely feel that phone aversion.
I hear that. And also, too, I think some of the most inopportune times is when you're in the car with other people and it's like, oh, I want to answer this, but you just can't. So, yeah. You know, our profession is very special like that because of the confidentiality aspect.
Yeah, and it does take up a lot of time as well, because you may have 5 voicemails at the end of the day. So you sit down to return them. Maybe you return one, leave a message, you don't get an answer, you return the second one, maybe the voicemail box is full. So then you have to make another note to maybe try and call back the next day, because they might not know that you tried to call them back because the voicemail box was full. And then it may be someone calling to check to see if you take their insurance, and then you don't. And so it may be that out of those 5 calls, you may get one person to convert, or you may not. So it really does take up a lot of time fielding those calls.
And I think you had mentioned there was a third issue that this is able to...
Well, one is the phone scams that therapists have been targeted with. It's a really big deal. And if you're not answering your phone, then you're probably not going to get caught on the line with someone trying to scam you. I know that there was a local colleague here that it seemed really real. They've gotten really clever with the phone scams. She thought that she had been, didn't follow up with a court subpoena and that they were going to arrest her, and she ended up losing, I think, $10,000 or $20,000. So we had to, I know that locally they started a GoFundMe page to help her because that was her life savings. So being able to maybe potentially avoid phone scams because you're not always answering your phone.
Yeah, wow. I actually had that same type of scammer contact me maybe a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years ago, something like that, telling me that there was a warrant out for my arrest because I didn't appear in court for something that I never even knew about. And they hooked me on the phone for a good, I'd say 10 minutes, arguing back and forth with them, trying to figure out, like, how is this even possible? And it was scary. I definitely was able to figure out, okay, this is a scam. This is ridiculous. This is bogus. I'm going to go ahead and hang up, even though they were telling me if I hung up the phone, they were going to send the police to arrest me immediately. And I didn't stay on for the rest of it, but that's awful to hear that she lost 10 to 20 grand. Wow.
Yeah.
Another problem with the phone.
Another problem, yes. So I wanted to come up with a system where it met my needs, but it also met my client's needs. So it meets the therapist's needs for not having to be on 24/7 and worrying about the phone calls and managing all that. And it meets the client's needs in that whenever they reach out, they know exactly what to expect. So just a few parts of the system are basically, I've identified all the ways that potential clients might reach out to me, whether it be email or phone or a social media message or anything like that. And I came up with automated responses that lets them know about my practice, what clients I do the best work with, what clients I refer out with, what my rate is, when my latest appointment is, what days I work, and when they can expect to for me to respond. And also, I just share in there that, hey, if you're interested in maybe booking a session or want to have a phone consultation and get to know if we would be a good fit, head over to my website and schedule that. And since doing that and implementing that system, I maybe get one voicemail a month. And the rest of the time, it's so great to not even hear my phone ring, but I see that I've had a missed call. They didn't leave a message. And then a few minutes later, I'll see that someone has booked a phone consultation. So it's really great in that people can reach out. And even if you're not available, they know that there's a process, that you're going to take care of them, that you're going to respond, and that they can go ahead and get that session, that phone consultation booked with you.
And so you were saying so do you track all your numbers and things like that of calls and yeah. So about how many people, the percentage of people that just go ahead and schedule as opposed to want that phone consultation first and then schedule on average?
I only have the option of the phone consultation.
Oh, okay. So they see all the information, they do the phone consultation with you.
And then we decide if it's a good fit. And since I've been doing this system, because there's another thing that I put in there that I share in the course, I give you the templates for all of this and all my voicemail scripts and email autoresponders and all that. But so whenever they schedule a phone consultation, I have a PDF that they download that's a phone consultation guide. So it gives them a little bit of information about what it's like to have a phone consultation, what type of questions we'll be asking, just to ease their concerns, because when people are booking with a therapist, they may not know what to expect or they may not know what to say. So it lets them know what the phone consultation is about. And it talks about my ideal clients, who I work best with, and just all of that information about scheduling and insurance and fees and appointment times that are available. So they've read that and they can almost screen themselves in or out, whether they'll be a good fit or not. So by the time they schedule the phone consultation, it's almost a guarantee that they're a really good fit to work with me. But I still encourage them to reach out if they read something on there and it doesn't fit, if they need to use their insurance, or if they want to work with someone in recovering from infidelity, or they have this other specialty that I don't specialize in, I can send them a good list of referrals.
I love it. You've done a really awesome job to maximize your own time, really to take care of clients. And I like how you say, because it's them almost saying, yes, I meet this criteria. No, I don't. And then either finding a different therapist, because that's just it's not going to be a match, or taking that next step. And it really increases the conversion rate of people getting into therapy with you, rather than spending an hour and 20 minutes for 5 calls and only having one of those be a potential client.
Yeah.
Very cool. Tell us, I'm curious, I always feel, I talk about the phone and how important that is to really make that connection. And you found a completely different system and I love it. Was it a little nerve-wracking for you, like finally implementing the system and sitting back and be like, oh gosh, is this going to work? Or did you have full faith, this is going to work?
I had full faith because
awesome.
I just knew that I'm always going to be averse to the phone, so I have to come up with some other system. So I thought really hard about it and making sure that I walk the clients through every step of the way so they feel comfortable in, even though they don't get me on the phone the first time they call or within a few seconds, I provide this information in an automated way so they know that they're taken care of and they have all of these different options. And I really like the fact that it's not that I don't like talking on the phone, because by the time it comes time for their phone consultation, I really enjoy it because I have this time set aside in my schedule with no interruptions. It's a good time for both of us to sit and talk. So we both found that time. So it ensures that it's going to be a productive conversation, free of interruptions. And I really look forward to that phone consultation because we get to see if I would be a good fit for them to work with. And it just feels really good in booking that client, knowing that that we've done all of that upfront work, knowing that it's going to be a good fit.
I love it. And we talk a lot of times about, when you have a really great website and specialty pages, your client begins to sell themselves to you, right? Mm-hmm. And you've kind of done that. It's now they're sharing with you like why they would be a good fit for you as a therapist, rather than taking so much time like explaining who the ideal client is and on the phone, because you've done all that work up front. So that is really cool. And it sounds like there's some freedom in that space on that phone consultation to explore a little bit more, get a little bit more clear, have more fun. And, there's not that hesitation of like, oh, this is my fee. And then there's silence. And you're like, okay, can they afford it? Can they not? Like they've already said yes. I love it.
Yeah. So it does feel like you don't have to sell the client by using this system. They already know what to expect. So it really is this genuine, hey, are we going to work really well together? Because I want you to have the very best experience. And I make sure to network with all the other couples therapists in my area and get to know them and their specialties. And I do refer out a lot. Even though I could take on that client, they may have this one little aspect where I think this other therapist would be a little bit better than that than I would. So I think it works out really well.
Curious, what technology have you found that's been most effective in setting up this automated system?
Well, in the course, I mentioned you can either use Simple Practice or a combination of Simple Practice and Acuity. So I really love Acuity because I like to keep my phone consultations and my current clients separate in separate systems. So they come through Acuity. That's what I have on my website, and I purchased the HIPAA compliant version of Acuity. And that's where they schedule their phone consultation. And then once we've had that phone consultation, and if they decide to become a client, then I add them to the Simple Practice system and do, all the automation that you can do with that.
And Cindy, I'm curious, what is the feedback that clients share about your system? I'm sure you get some type of like feedback, compliments on it.
Oh yeah, they say that it's so easy that it was nice just to get something scheduled instead of trying to catch someone on the phone. They say that it's really clear in what I do, and they felt really, really good about reaching out to me because they knew so much about me, because I share a lot on my website, and they feel before they even call that they know that they're probably going to be a good fit. So they just said it's really simple to use, and they liked the ease of it, that even with a busy schedule, you can just go on their schedule and find a time that works for both of us. So they've really enjoyed it and said it was really simple and easy to use.
One of the things that we constantly talk about when it comes to marketing and business is really being able to lead clients through a step-by-step simple process. And it's interesting on the other end as the business owner to get to that step-by-step simple process is sometimes really hard, but really understanding and testing your system and understanding how it works and what the client's needs are. And it sounds like you've done such an amazing job of that. It's really cool.
Yeah, it looks really simple on the client's end, but on the back end, there was a lot of thought that went into it.
Oh, we know all that stuff. It's interesting. I was listening to Donald Miller recently of StoryBrand on a webinar, and he was talking about how great writers really write very simply. But I can't tell you how many times, I don't consider myself a great writer, but how many times I'm writing copyright and I'm like, okay, take that word out. Okay, I could take all those three things out. Okay, I already said, and it's that process it takes a long time. But when you can lead clients through it just step by step, and they get it and they know what to do at the next step, and then this step is coming, it is really a beautiful process.
Yeah.
Cool. Anything else you want to share about your system that you feel is important for Startup Nation to know?
Yeah, I think it's just, it is about getting that set up to where no matter how clients reach out to you, you're directing them to do one simple, clear step, and that's book a phone consultation. So no matter how they reach out, they're welcomed, they have this automated response, and it says, hey, if you want to, move further, then go to my website and schedule this phone consultation. So I'm telling them to do one simple thing instead of, hey, you can email me here, or you can schedule here, or why don't you call me at this number? It's just really simple and clear, and just giving that one directive.
Right. Very cool. What would you like people to take away from your message today?
One thing I think that's super important is that we shouldn't have to go against who we are in order to have the practice that we really want to have. So I could have maybe convinced myself, you just need to get comfortable answering the phone whenever it rings, and that just, I don't know if that would have ever happened. So I just want to let everyone know that they can have the practice that they want, and you can build it around you as a person. You don't have to have your practice look like everyone else's. Just check in with yourself and follow what works for you, and you can find a way to make it work.
Very cool. And I love this because I know that I've really talked about like the importance of being on the phone, even though I don't love it. I'm good at it. And so I just can't wait till this podcast goes live, because it's going to be such a great resource to have people hear what you have to say and what you've accomplished, and then take a step and take your course. And I know that you have a special discount for your course for,
yes.
What is that?
Yeah, for all the listeners of the Private Practice Startup, it's a 50% off of the course. It's originally $497, and you can take 50% off the cost of the course if you just use the code PPS50.
Awesome. As in Private Practice Startup. I love when people like use that code consistently. It's just super helpful and simple, right? It's easy to remember. Mm-hmm. Very cool. Well, we so appreciate you being here and sharing this awesome structure and system that you created for those people who just don't like being on the phone. And Startup Nation, we hope that you guys join us next time. And that's a TBD, because we haven't decided just yet.
To be determined, yes. And if you guys are enjoying this podcast, definitely subscribe, rate, and review, share with your fellow colleagues and friends. And we always love to hear from you. We want to know that the content that we're providing for you is really on point and meeting your needs wherever you are along that private practice continuum. So definitely let us know how that's going. And if there's a topic we haven't given you yet, let us know that too. We look forward to continuing to inspire you from startup to mastery. We'll see you next time. Thanks for joining us on The Private Practice Startup. Visit theprivatepracticestartup.com for awesome resources, free trainings, attorney-approved private practice paperwork, and so much more.